Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. A jury has found Donald Trump liable for sexually assaulting advice columnist E. Jean Carroll in 1996. Jurors awarded her $5 million in a judgment that could haunt the former president as he campaigns to regain the White House. Jurors reached the verdict within hours on the first day of deliberations. Carroll spoke on Good Morning America today.
It was this 5'3", wily female attorney and this elderly 79-year-old advice columnist who are finally holding Donald Trump liable.
Jurors rejected Carroll's claim that she was raped, but found Trump liable for sexual abuse and for defaming Carroll after she made her allegations public. Trump chose not to attend the civil trial and was absent when the verdict was read. He rejected the findings in a statement and pledged to appeal, saying he didn't know the woman. But in a released deposition, Trump is heard identifying Carroll in a photo as his wife. It's another historic indictment surrounding Trump. He's the first president to be found guilty of sexual abuse. Carroll's attorney, Roberta Kaplan, spoke on Good Morning America today.
In our country, no one, not even a former president, not even a star from Celebrity Apprentice, is above the law. And Donald Trump, like all of us, is not above the law.
New York Republican Congressman George Santos has been charged with federal criminal offenses and is in federal custody, facing 7 counts of wire fraud, 3 counts of money laundering, 1 count of theft of public funds, and 2 counts of false statements to the House. Santos has refused to step down from Congress after outrage from revelations he lied about his Jewish heritage, education, professional pedigree, and campaign finances. The nonpartisan Campaign Legal Center launched a complaint with the Federal Elections Commission, urging regulators to investigate what it says was Santos's mountain of lies and how his campaign raised and spent money. Before running for office, Santos recorded an annual income of some $55,000. After his bid, more than $1 million surfaced from his company, which paid him some $750,000, plus another $1 to $5 million in dividends. He also faces separate charges in Brazil on allegations of using a stolen check. President Joe Biden is launching a new phase of his pressure campaign against House Republicans as he makes his case lawmakers should lift the nation's borrowing power without any strings attached. Today, he'll travel to Valhalla, New York, to argue the House Republican bill to lift the debt limit for a year would impose cuts for veterans care, educators, and other domestic priorities. His planned visit today comes after a White House meeting he had with congressional leaders yesterday that ended without agreement. Christopher Martinez has more.
After the White House meeting, the leaders gave their take on what happened or didn't happen. Republican Kevin McCarthy is the House Speaker.
Everybody in this meeting reiterated the positions they were at. I didn't see any new movement.
Democratic Senate Leader Chuck Schumer says McCarthy is endangering America and making a budget agreement more difficult.
If you look at what President Biden had proposed and you look at what Speaker McCarthy has proposed, they're very, very different. We can try to come together on those in a budget and appropriations process.
What won't be so simple is getting to some resolution to this distinctly American problem, dealing with a federal debt limit. Australia tried a debt limit in 2008, but got rid of it 5 years later as unworkable. That leaves Denmark as the only other industrialized country with a debt limit, but there it's considered just a technicality with little effect on policy. But here in the U.S., the clock is still ticking. President Biden scheduled another meeting with congressional leaders for Friday. Reporting for Pacifica Radio News KPFA, I'm Christopher Martinez.
Relations between Israel and Palestine continued to deteriorate after a truce was negotiated and agreements for calm. Israel fired rockets into Gaza and Rafah, killing 3 members of the Islamic Jihad group, as well as civilians, including children, Tuesday. Today, Palestine militants in the Gaza Strip launched dozens of rockets into Israel. Pacifica's Rami Al-Magari reports from Gaza.
Palestinian medical sources in Gaza say that 4 children and 4 women were among those killed in the air strikes. 24 others were injured as Israeli missiles hit residential buildings in densely populated neighborhoods in both Gaza City and Rafah City south of Gaza Strip. Khader Habib is a senior leader of the Islamic Jihadi group in Gaza.
Prior to this aggression, there was an agreement on a ceasefire and for calm in the region. Yet the Zionist occupation, by engaging in these strikes, proves that it never abides by agreements and commitments.
The Islamic Jihadi group in Gaza had fired dozens of rockets into nearby Israeli areas in reaction to the death of long-time Palestinian political prisoner Khadr Adnan while on a hunger strike inside an Israeli jail without a charge. In the last 10 years alone, Israeli forces have extrajudicially killed a number of Palestinian resistance leaders in Gaza. I am Rami Al-Mighari.
Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan was ordered jailed for 8 days after he was arrested in a courtroom on corruption charges, deepening the country's political turmoil. I'm Christina Onestad reporting for Pacifica Radio.